welcome to another Treats and Eats Copycat Disney recipe video. We hope that you're enjoying them as much as we enjoy making them. We just had a blast making all these recipes with you. We hope you're making them at home. I mean, that's why we do this, so you can bring that Disney magic home when you can't make it to the parks. If you've tried any of our recipes, please leave us a comment in the section below. We'd love to hear from you. And if there's anything you'd like to see us make, please leave that in the messages below as well. We'd love to hear from you on what you'd like to see in the future. So today for our recipe, we'll be heading back outside of the parks again to the Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. It's a beautiful resort, and if you know anything about it, you probably already know what we're gonna make because they're pretty famous for it. That's right, the beignets. Oh, they're so good. And if you haven't had one yet, you need to make them immediately, okay? Mark this day in your calendar. I am about to change your life because these are that good. So we won't waste any more time. We'll get started. Here's the list of ingredients that you'll need. Go ahead and jot those down. And if you need extra time, just hit pause. And we're gonna get started with our warm water and our yeast. So you're going to have your warm water in a bowl and sprinkle the yeast over it and stir to dissolve. Now we've got warm water, not hot, because the warm activates the yeast, but if it's too hot, it can actually kill the yeast. So there is a bit of a fine line between what you want. And if you're super nervous about it, you can get your little thermometer out and check the temperature. You want it to be about 105 degrees. Usually tap water, if it comes out, before it's steaming, that's about where you want it. Again, just don't want it too hot. So just stir and make sure it's all dissolved. And then we're gonna let that sit for 5 minutes. And while that's sitting, we're gonna go ahead and get started on the rest of our batter.
Okay, to make our dough, we start with our flour. And now if you have a gluten intolerance or you're allergic, you can use a substitute flour. That's absolutely fine. But put your flour in a large mixing bowl. And then we're going to add, this time we want boiling water. So I've got my boiling water here. And I'm going to just go ahead and pour that in. And then we've got our shortening. We'll add that, vegetable shortening. And our sugar. Okay, and our salt. 1 egg, or if you saw on the ingredients list, I did put a substitute. If you don't eat eggs or you have an egg allergy, you can use that substitute. And then our heavy whipping cream. Again, if you have a dairy allergy, I put the substitute for that on the ingredients list. And finally, we're going to mix in our yeast mixture. And then we're going to put in our dough hook. And we're going to mix it until it's combined and smooth is what you want to get it to. Now you can see it's evenly mixed and smooth, and then we're going to let it just sit for half an hour.
We've let our dough rest for half an hour, and now we're going to roll it out and cut it into our beignet shapes. You want to roll it to about 1/4 of an inch thick. Once it's rolled out, you're going to cut them into beignet shapes. which if you don't know, they look like little rectangles. But because this is a Disney copycat recipe, we like to add what I call sprinkling of pixie dust to each recipe. That means going a step above what the recipe calls for. So today my sprinkling of pixie dust is this Mickey Mouse cut out. We are going to make Mickey-shaped beignets instead of just the rectangle kind. So we're going to go ahead and cut them out. And then you're going to want to put them onto a tray, regardless of what shape you do. Put them on a tray, and we're going to let them rise again. Once you finish rolling them all out and cutting them all out, you'll get about 2 dozen. You lay them out on your cookie sheets, and then you're going to want to cover it with a towel and put it somewhere warm without any kind of cross breeze. So somewhere quiet and warm where they can rise for about an hour, hour and a half. Okay, so we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we've let our dough rise for about an hour, hour and a half. And now the last thing that we have to do is fry them and sprinkle some sugar on them, and we'll be all done. So I've got my oil heated to 350 degrees. I've got about 1.5 inches in there. You want enough so that you can float them in there to fry them. And then I've also got a cookie sheet lined with paper towels that I'm going to put them on after I pull them out, just to catch some of that excess oil. And I've got a slotted spoon to help me flip them and scoop them out. So we'll just have to pop them in and get it done. Now you're going to want to push them down just a little bit, especially if they rose a lot before you put them in. While they're still warm, you want to take them and sprinkle them liberally with some powdered sugar. And you'll put them on a plate. And they're ready to serve. You can give them to your family or to guests, or you can keep them all for yourself. They make a great snack while you're curled up with a good book.